The railway era in County Fermanagh came to an end on the 30th of September 1957.
Rail travel ended tonight on 93 miles of track of the Great Northern Railway system in Northern Ireland, on the Clonus to Omagh and Bundoran lines, and on the Sligo, Leitrim and Northern Counties Railway, leaving all the country between Omagh, Clonus, Sligo and Bundoran without any trains.
In one day and at one stroke, Enniskillen ceased to be a railway hub. But 6 years ago, the railways came back to the town, after a fashion. And it's all thanks to Headhunters Barber shop.
The train now arriving on platform 1 from Ballinamallard.
Walk into Headhunters and you're walking into Fermanagh's railway past.
Hello Cecil, how are you?
Gordon and Nigel Johnston spend their days cutting hair surrounded by an Aladdin's cave of railway memorabilia. Headhunters is bursting at the seams with 100 years of railway material from the two Fermanagh lines, the Sligo, Leitrim and Northern Counties and the Great Northern. Now, this is a barber shop, but it could be a museum, and it's a veritable magnet for former railwaymen.
There's all the railway posters, and there's always some railway man pops in, and he's always saying we can go off to Bundoran and get the Bundoran Express. So it's always great fun.
Here, the quality of the crack is as much of a draw as the quality of the haircuts. It's 51 years since these men worked together on the railways, but put them back together and the memories flow, especially about things they weren't supposed to do.
They used to tie the bikes to the signaling pole down on the paddy Ingham, and they made changing the wheels on the bikes. It used to be desperate crack.
And the lunch boxes, swapping lunches, etc.
That's right.
And the tea was like treacle.
Plenty of tea breaks with the maintenance men, but they kept you back, Ken, next Ken.
Wasn't too hard to keep some of them back.
The captain used to be a great test for playing cards. And
I had no bad habits like that.
oh, had you not?
No.
Selwyn Johnston isn't a barber, but he's as much of a railway enthusiast as his two older brothers, and he's worked with them to put this collection together. Some items they've found, some they've bought, some are on loan, and they've all ended up in the barber's shop because there was no room anywhere else.
It's something that we're passionate about, and we want to interpret the heritage. And it's only from former employees and enthusiasts that we'll be able to make it happen. I mean, certainly people come in and get their haircut. They can wander around the museum, and if they wish, they can make a donation on the way out. But we think it's something rather special to enjoy. It's not a profit-making venture, and it's just a passion we have, and we want to share that.
There are a number of Gordon Johnston's railway paintings on show, and he's done a lot of work restoring old signs too.
Some of them have been in the ground maybe for 50 years, so actually not there in a bad state. So there's a lot of rubbing down, cleaning up, and then they say painting, and some of them have a lot of letters, and so painting them again can take quite a bit of time.
In one corner of the shop, there's a recreated railway office. Cecil Irvine worked in one just like this. Once a week, cash was taken to the bank.
This performance took place on a Thursday morning, which was known as payday, the highlight of the week.
The cash was delivered by bike, with another clerk on another bike as security.
And I went in front, or Robin went in front, another went behind.
And what would they do if there'd been an attack on you?
Well, I failed to I failed to answer that one. I don't honestly know.
Their security was never tested. In the heyday of the railways, excursion trains were popular to football and rugby matches, for shopping, and of course, thousands used the pilgrim trains to Lochderg. Charles Friel's a railway historian, and he points to how centrally important trains once were to the Fermanagh economy.
Literally anything that was moved had to be moved by train, and people's lives were governed by it. I mean, people didn't have afternoon weddings in those days. They got wed in the morning, The wedding breakfast come at kind of lunchtime, and then the rush was to get to the train, up to the station to get the train for Dublin or wherever, Belfast, wherever they were going on honeymoon.
With the partition of Ireland came the customs, and in turn came smuggling, and sometimes railwaymen were involved too.
There used to be stuff hidden under the coal, you know, on the tender and in the guard's van, but generally it was harmless, you know. It wasn't a commercial operation, but just anything would be for personal use, you know.
And that'd be what, butter, tobacco, that sort of thing?
That's right. There was no LSD or cocaine or anything those times.
Then Morse code was used to send information between stations.
I knew it was hard to get onto, very hard. You had to keep practice, the same made perfect.
And 50 years later, he still is perfect. In Headhunters, you never know who you'll meet next. Father Brian Darcy's been coming here for years. His dad, Hugh, worked on the Permanent Way. When it snowed, he'd be up all night.
He'd leave home on a bicycle and a dynamo on the bicycle to bring him into Enniskillen, and then he'd start off walking, shoveling snow off the line for as far as he could so that the trains could go in the morning. And, you know, when your dad's out at the night, you know, you always say, will he ever come back? You know, and that's the kind of memory I have lying in a wee bed wondering if he'd ever come back.
Even though there were smiles, the closure of the lines when it came was a sad day for the railway workers. William Galt remembers his last journey as if it were yesterday.
I woke at 6:20 railcar to Manor Hamilton, which I changed over with Michael Hamilton. And me and Michael shook hands on the platform at Manor Hamilton that day and said goodbye.
And that goodbye to the railways meant a lot of worry for railwaymen's families. Father Brian remembers the impact on his dad.
All of a sudden, this thing happened in midlife, and he had nowhere to go. And it was, I remember crisis meetings in our place. Were we going to be out of a job? What could he do? What could he not do? Would we move to Belfast? Would he not move to Belfast?
In the end, his father became a bus driver. The men who kept Fermanagh's trains running are getting old now, so Headhunters have recorded their memories to make sure they'll never be forgotten. The CD includes a number of poems.
We never treasure water till the crystal spring is dry. We never know what sorrow is till friends they say goodbye. Yet friends return, and water falls from heaven down in rain. But grief unending is a thought of the Sligo-Leitrim train. 100 weary years are a century to me. I'm keening now an elegy, it saddens me. A sorrow is around me, and numbness in my brain, at the silent passing of the Sligo-Leitrim train.